Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading in chronological order. Just such a privilege once again to be leading us in the Bible reading and in the overview of the chapters that we're going to be dealing with today. And I pray that it would be a blessing to each of you. May the Lord just undertake for us, even as we would seek to find Him in His Word. Today we're still busy in the book of Deuteronomy, and we're going to be focusing on chapters 21, 22, and 23. So once we get into chapter 21, we see that this chapter begins in a very strange scenario, in a very strange way. And actually what is being spoken about in this chapter is how to make reparations for unsolved murders. We see that a heifer needed to be sacrificed in the field. It actually just, when it talks about it in quite graphic detail actually. And then the hands of those that were there needed to be washed to claim their innocency. Now it's very strange because the priests became the exactor of the judicial system in this regard. So the priests would actually have the right to rule in a judicial sense, which is actually quite strange. We don't see that very often. You know, when we look at the ruling of the land, it was very separate to the priesthood. A person could never be king and priest in most circumstances, except for Melchizedek, who the Lord would fall under that priesthood, as opposed to the Aaronic priesthood. But it's just very interesting to note, and once we get to certain things in the New Testament, we're going to fall back on this just a little bit as well. We're going to see some beautiful types and pictures in there. Then we see that there's another strange scenario that's set up. So the firstborn of a hated wife. So in a case of a man having two wives, and the firstborn son was the son of the wife that he hated, we see this is a very strange theme, but it happens quite a bit in Scripture. Even with Jacob, Jacob married Leah and Rachel, but he the Bible puts it in no uncertain terms that he loved Rachel, but Leah was not loved of Jacob. And this is the case. Now the Bible is giving us the law here that if the firstborn son was the son of the hated wife, that firstborn son would still receive the inheritance of the firstborn. That is a double portion of the blessing, even though the father might have his own ideas of who he wants to bless and who he wants to give the blessing to. But he could not do that. He had to honor that, even if the firstborn son was the son of the hated wife. Then we see that the Bible talks about a stubborn and a rebellious son. And that son is to be taken out into the plain and stoned. Then we see that those that are hanged on a tree need to be buried the same day, as he that is hanged is accursed of God. But what happened just now? I really want to go back to this. The rebellious and stubborn son needs to be stoned to death. I mean, if that was a case, I don't think that humanity would have carried on up till now. Once boys hit their teenage years, they always get this rebellious and this stubborn nature. But it's not talking about that. If you read very carefully, it is talking about those that are grown, those that should be of a sound mind, that are still living at home, that are getting drunk, that are behaving in a bad way. That son there needs to be taken out and stoned. Now, why such a harsh punishment? Well, if we look at it in 1 Samuel 15:23, we see the Bible says, "For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry." Now, we just saw right throughout the book of Deuteronomy thus far, it's been talking about idolatry. Those that are guilty of idolatry need to be stoned. Those nations that practice idolatry, they need to be killed. And this is the thing. Stubbornness is as the sin of idolatry, and rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king. This is talking to Saul now. And that is why it is such a critical thing. So, as much as parents of teenage children would want to exact this punishment, it's not talking about that. It's talking about someone that is of a sound mind, someone that's mature in their, supposed to be mature in their thinking. And if that person is still acting in this way, they need to be taken out and stoned. Then we get to chapter 22, and we see in chapter 22 the people are commanded to show humanity to their brethren. You are obligated to help your community. This is very important and something that we should be practicing as Christians as well, that we are there to help our community. Then the Bible talks about confusion, which must be avoided. This is sowing diverse seeds in the field. Cross-dressing is one that is spoken about here. A woman wearing men's clothing, men wearing women's clothing. And then sewing garments of diverse sorts. The Bible forbids that, especially in the Old Testament to the Israelites. We'll see that certain of that is applied again in the New Testament, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Then we see that fornication, when a woman is engaged to someone else, and adultery is to be punished by death. So if a woman is espoused to someone and sleeps around with someone else, then that there is punishable by death. And then we see that incest and sexual immorality is forbidden. Then we get to chapter 23, and I want to go through this very quickly, but really just hone into the types and the significance of this chapter. Now, it talks about someone that is hurt in the stones, or someone that is castrated. And we often think we can't understand the relevance of that. Why is it that someone that is castrated can't enter into the congregation? Because the Lord forbids people who have been involved, that have been castrated or that have been wounded in the stones to enter into the congregation. The thing is, the one thing that we don't realize is in the pagan practices, especially in the Canaanite religions, the practice of mutilating the body and castration was very common. Now we saw there, we read it in the previous chapter where it says, do not make markings upon your body, do not cut yourself, do not do those things. It was because it was a common practice amongst the Canaanites to mutilate their bodies, to castrate the men and things like that. The Lord did not want any part of that in Israel. Now also this includes those that would be wounded. It doesn't give any qualifications that it's only pertaining to that. It's just that we must remember that this was one of the practices of the Canaanite religions, and so the Lord commanded the Israelites, if anyone is in that situation, he is not allowed into the congregation. Then we see that it talks about the Moabites and the Ammonites that are not allowed into the congregation unto the 10th generation. Now, who is that talking about? First of all, it gives the explanation there to say that they didn't help you when you were taken out of Egypt. In fact, they hired Balaam to come and curse you, so they're not allowed into the congregation. But remember also, it talks about the child born that doesn't know his father, that doesn't, that is without a father in that way. Now, when we look at the Moabites and the Ammonites, where did they come from? Both were the children of Lot's daughters and Lot. So in a way, they were, they didn't have a proper father figure. I mean, their father was their grandfather type of thing. It was sinister in the way it was. But just to know that child was not allowed into the congregation for 10 generations, and now this is exactly there. So just know when it talks about the Moabites and Ammonites, it is talking about the children of Lot and Lot's daughters. So very interesting there. And then we see that verse 2 is speaking about something very critical in its prophetic nature. If we look at it in the light of Perez, who Tamar begat with her father-in-law Judah, we see that this is exactly 10 generations from Perez to David, who would then be king in Israel. So when the Lord says he's not allowed into the congregation for 10 generations, understand then that 10 generations was fulfilled in David, and David then became king in Israel. So very interesting, these types and these patterns, so beautiful in its nature. The Lord is so perfect when it comes to his word. So let's just enjoy the reading today. I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May he give you peace. God bless.
Chapter 21. If one be found slain in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it, lying in the field, and it be not known who hath slain him, then thy elders and thy judges shall come forth, and they shall measure unto the cities which are round about him that is slain. And it shall be that the city which is next unto the slain man, even the elders of that city shall take an heifer which hath not been wrought with, and which hath not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer unto a rough valley which is neither eared nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for them the Lord thy God hath chosen to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of the Lord. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And all the elders of that city that are next unto the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Lord, unto thy people Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, and lay not innocent blood unto thy people of Israel's charge. And the blood shall be forgiven them. So shalt thou put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of the Lord. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head, and pare her nails. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn, but he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he hath. For he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out unto the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. Chapter 22. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not, then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it, and thou shalt restore it to him again. In like manner shalt thou do with his ass, and so shalt thou do with his raiment, and with all lost thing of thy brother's which he hath lost, and thou hast found, shalt thou do likewise. Thou mayest not hide thyself. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. If a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way, in any tree or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. But thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days. When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement for thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thine house, if any man fall from thence. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with divers seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown, and the fruit of thy vineyard, be defiled. Thou shalt not plough with an ox and an ass together. Thou shalt not wear a garment of divers sorts, as of woolen and linen together. Thou shalt make thee fringes upon the four quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself. If any man take a wife, and go in unto her, and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her I found her not a maid, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall amerce him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbour's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbour, and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. Chapter 23. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever, because they met you not with bread and with water in the way, when ye came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse thee. Nevertheless the Lord thy God would not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy God turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy God loved thee. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their 3rd generation. When the host goeth forth against thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing. If there be among you any man that is not clean, by reason of uncleanness that chanceth him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp. But it shall be, when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad. Thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, And it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back, and cover that which cometh from thee. For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp, to deliver thee, and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore, or the price of a dog, into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, for even both these are abomination unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. That which is gone out of thy lips thou shalt keep and perform, even a freewill offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. When thou comest into thy neighbour's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes thy fill at thine own pleasure, but thou shalt not put any in thy vessel. When thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbour, then thou mayest pluck the ears with thine hand, but thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbour's standing corn.